One of the backbone of this whole conspiracy is the Warren Commission is doing everything they possibly can to stick to the 3-bullet theory. Why were they trying to stick to that? Why were they so, like, it doesn't seem like it would make that much of a difference if there was another bullet.
Yeah, that's correct. The Warren Commission says that only 3 bullets were fired. All right.
Why couldn't they have just said, okay, there was 4?
Because there were only 3 shells found at the scene of the crime.
Okay.
Okay. And so they had to do that. All right. Because if there's more, that ipso facto denotes a conspiracy, because you only got 3 shells. Okay. You only can have 3 bullets. And so if you said it was 4 shots, and by the way, they actually said this. Norman Redlich actually said this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If we don't have the single bullet theory, then it denotes a conspiracy. All right. Now, let me talk about.
From before you could do that, it just seems like, from my perspective, it would be way easier and way less trouble to say, yeah, we don't know where the 4th bullet shell is, than to, on the other hand, have to deal with this whole magic bullet debacle. That seems like more of a problem.
Oh, than
it would be just to say, oh, there's a 4th bullet shell we can't find. We don't know.
That's an interesting question, because the FBI, and we talk about this in the film, they had a different version of the 3 bullets. Okay. They said all 3 bullets hit the car, inside of the car, the automobile. They didn't have a single bullet theory. Okay. And I think we should explain what the single bullet theory is. Yeah. The single bullet theory says that one projectile went through Kennedy, emerged out of his throat, went into Conley, through his back, out his right chest, smashed, by the way, it decimated one of his ribs. It then smashed his wrist, his right wrist, and then somehow went this way into his left thigh. Okay?
And which they tested this theory on cadavers, right? By shooting cadavers the same way, and then it never duplicated the same result.
The amazing thing about this is that after going through all that, the Warren Commission said that this bullet, which is called Commission Exhibit 399, emerged pretty much intact. And anybody can see it, and we show it in the film. All right. That is pretty much intact. In fact, it's only missing something like 3 or 4 grains, not grams, grains. All right. And if you look at it, it doesn't look like it hit anything. All right. And we have Joseph Dolce, who was one of the doctors who worked for the Warren Commission, but they didn't want to talk to him. All right. And he said, look, we test fired dozens of bullets in the cadavers. Okay. None of them came out looking like this. And he was a surgeon during World War II. And he said, in my opinion, it's not possible, okay, for something like this to happen. Now, they said that you had one single bullet going through 2 people. You had one that completely missed the car, hit the curb, bounced up and hit this bystander named James Tegg, bloodying his face. And the 3rd bullet is the headshot. Okay. So we're supposed to believe that 2 bullets hit Kennedy. Okay. Pretty much where a sniper would want to hit him. And this other shot completely missed a car. And in fact, Tegg was sitting on Commerce Street, which is a different street than what Kennedy was. Kennedy was on Elm Street. So you have this one bullet that completely missed the car, completely missed the street, hit a curb, and bounced up and hit James Tegg, a bystander. Now, the FBI did not want to believe that because they thought the single bullet theory was absurd, which I think most people would agree. So Hoover who the head of the FBI at that time, he did everything he could to cover up the James Tague hit. He denied it, that it ever happened, for years. Okay. And then they actually kind of cemented over the curb, okay, where the bullet struck. All right. This is how badly the FBI wanted that to go away. All right. And so this ended up being a dispute between the FBI and the Warren Commission. All right. The Warren Commission figured we can't cover up the James Tague thing anymore because there's too many people talking about it in Dallas. So what we have to do is to stay with the 3 shells. We have to make up this magic bullet theory. Okay. So this is what they did. All right. Now, let me add one other thing. What most people don't know is that there wasn't just one magic bullet in the Kennedy case. All right. Because if you examine the headshot, the one that takes Kennedy's life, the official story has 2 fragments flying through Kennedy's head, landing in the front seat of the car. And this is supposed to be the head of the bullet and the tail of the bullet. In the x-rays, there is a 6.5 millimeter object evident on the x-rays, which anybody can see. Now, why is that important? Because 6.5 millimeters is the exact caliber of the bullet that they tell us Oswald was using that day. Most people believe that that is an object from the bullet that went through Kennedy's skull. Now, if it is, it has to be from the middle of the bullet because you've got the head and the base of the bullet in the front of the car. So we're supposed to believe that this bullet comes through Kennedy's skull. It breaks into 3 parts. The middle part stays in the skull, and I mean towards the back of the skull. And somehow the rear portion of the bullet goes either up or down to go around this middle part, flies out right behind the front, and ends up in the front seat of the presidential limousine. So this is what I mean. You really have 2 magic bullets in this case. And by the way, that was actually going to be in the film. I'm
surprised that wasn't in the film.
Yeah, I wanted it to be in the film. Okay, but I wasn't the final editor, of course.